You need to make that a little bit longer. Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, Chris, the DeFi professor, and we've got a great show lined up for you as we talk about the news of the week for all of you, our dear users, in the world of on-chain finance and investing. And it is my pleasure to bring back one of my favorite panelists from last year back here on the show. We've got my guy, Lito Hilario here. How are you, sir?
How's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New
Looking
Year
forward to
to you,
it.
brother. While you tell me a little bit about your year, I'm going to recast this to our other spots. So tell me how your year's been going.
Oh, the last 7 days,
Yeah.
dude. Some more just job applications, working on my own side projects. You know how I'm involved with music, doing some of that.
Yes, yes.
Just a lot of different things. Uh, and I'm very excited for this year. It's gonna be a good one.
Awesome. Well, what's interesting is that we started this show last year with Robert from Talisman. We had the running joke that we would introduce him as Robert Williams, hire this man. So now we can say Lito Hilario, hire this man. This dude's a beast.
Oh
This dude's
man,
going to be a superstar in this industry. So, uh,
working on
yeah,
it.
man, good to see you. Did you have a good holiday?
Oh, absolutely. Spent time with the family, had some good Dominican food. You know, our we share a
Yes,
lot of the same cuisine, the
we do.
pernil. I had that so much last month. What else? Just hung out with friends. It's so cold here in New York City. Uh, I'm waiting for it to warm down a little bit. And yeah, no, it's just been a great month. Last
I
month
think you're
was.
going to get some warm up. At least it's getting warmer out this way. Well, we didn't really have much of a we didn't even have close to a white Christmas. It was like a brown Christmas because it was like I went out of town for the first time, but the weather was the same.
Did you play some music?
No, can you hear music?
Yeah, let me
Is it you?
see.
Because I don't hear anything.
Oh no, sorry, it's somewhere else. It's tab. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, no, you're good. Um, yeah, I mean it was in the 60s and 70s where I was for Christmas, so it was like I was back in California or Florida again. It's like another day. It was crazy, but yeah, we're definitely going to be getting snow here tomorrow, which will probably get to your way in about the day and a half or so. So but
Yeah.
now that we're past the vernal equinox, which is December 22nd, the shortest day of the year, the sun's going to come up later and later, little by little, moving forward. So I know you guys have been getting a lot of precipitation. So hopefully it's not too bad this year. But out here in the Midwest, we're pretty quiet so far. So happy to see that. Well, let's go ahead and get over to the
Yeah.
news, sir. We are seeing an interesting setup here. Uh, we had candles the other, I guess, on Monday, especially with the news, because there's a lot of things going on, right? We're talking about Venezuela. We're talking about, we'll talk about in a second with Morgan Stanley. We're seeing a lot of bullish indicators to bring the market back above 100K Bitcoin. Are we going to get there? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about all of the catalysts, if you want to call it that, Lido, leading up to that. But so far, at least for this week, what we saw was a little bit of a candle somewhere over in this range I'm sorry, right here, Monday, that caused a lot of shorts to get liquidated. A lot of scalp trading, a lot of swing trades, I'm sure at this point, but we're seeing a little bit of movement with a lot of bullish indicators moving forward. We're going to talk about those quite a bit. Looking at fear and greed, we're at neutral. So this is the part that's quite interesting because now we're at neutral. We were at extreme fear for most of November and December. Now we're back to neutral. This means that people are going to get a bit more loosey-goosey with what's going on. We're seeing some movement again on meme coins, not only on Solana, but on ETH mainnet, on Base, on a couple other spots where people are starting to take a little bit more risk again. Um, the trenches overall, dry. But there's things that are happening. The Maduro coin went pretty nuts. There's quite a few good memes that have happened over the last 4 to 7 days that are showing some signs that people are looking to start deploying capital again. We'll talk even more about that in just a little bit. But looking at the week, we are green. My God, Render is up
I
80%.
love to see it.
Pepe up 65%. Like I said, people are looking. Now, is this the altcoin season we were looking for? No, obviously not. Should you have
Not
been
at all.
accumulating your altcoins if you really believed in them? Yes, you should have been. Uh, Even though they continued to bleed. And again, it's really just a matter of what your conviction is. Like, for example, projects like Jupe up 16%. HBAR also up 16%. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. But look at all this green. All of this green in a world where 3 weeks ago, everything was just looking just ratchet would be the word I would use. It was not looking all that good. So, Lito, just kind of getting your thoughts on how you've seen the market over the last couple of weeks after, what was a very muted December.
Oh, absolutely muted. I remember last year it was okay, so the market should start going up in May or June, then we'll sell. But that never happened. And so we like tossed it along the road. Okay, we're so certain that it's gonna continue to go up around this time, October, November, and that didn't happen. Like you said, it's just been very muted. So it's a breath of fresh air to see us in green. Do I think that this is gonna be sustained? Honestly, I'm pretty bearish. I don't know if we're gonna see a similar bear market as we've seen in 2017 or 2021 again. But I always welcome more green market. Hopefully, alts get a little bit more momentum. It's kind of crazy that alts just like wet the bed this whole bull season. For example, AVAC, I think it reached like $50, but the last bull it went up to 140. So the market's really weird, but it's a breath of fresh air to see green. Yes.
And we're seeing a lot of the interesting narratives getting set up here, right? There's a couple of things that I think are quite interesting. Just kind of looking at how this looks from the week, the day, of course, we're a bit down, just because I think there's just a lot of just uncertainty with what we're going to talk about in a minute. But looking at how a lot of this has kind of come through, there's a couple of things that I think are quite interesting. The first is going to be Canton Network, which is CC. Um, so one thing we talked about on this show, 2020, let's call it 2018, all the way up to 2025, has been a lot of just the disruption with DeFi into mainstream fintech. Now we're going to see the integration of DeFi into fintech in 2026. Canton Network, we've covered this at least 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years. It's always just been a testing ground for groups like Goldman, for Microsoft, other institutions to test out blockchain technology with controls. And that's the one thing that a lot of that a lot of institutions are going to want if they're going to accept blockchain technology is how can I do this with controls? Because we've seen the manipulation that's happened, Lito, right? With other people coming through and creating bank run scenarios, things that could be out of the control of a lot of these larger institutional partners that are looking to really bring this in for their customers. At the end of the day, when it comes to institutions front running retail and now setting up shop to attract retail, it's about how can we A, keep our customers safe, and B, how can we provide profit for our shareholders? Those are the two biggest things that are going to be the biggest issues moving forward. Now, the fact that we're seeing such gains on these alts is a positive sign. This means that there are people looking to bring money back into the system. Could be just whales. But we're seeing a lot of older coins even, like DOT is up 21%. VeChain is up almost 17% over the last week. And even other coins like Floki. When was the last time someone bought
Shib.
Floki? Yeah. Well, Bonk up 53%, but they have a specific digital asset treasury company that they have to report to. Ondo up 17% is going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about exactly what that means, but we're looking to see stable coins start to take hold. One thing I don't have the agenda. They're going to be, looks like January 15th. So next Thursday is going to be the day that they're going to vote on the Clarity Act, which is the market structure bill that Vlad Tenev from Robinhood, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, and multiple other industry heads, including people like Mark Andreessen, who does a lot of legwork behind the scenes for the Trump administration. They're out there trying to work with Congress to push this through. If that goes through, which is a bullish sign, and I believe it will go through, we're going to see an interesting move upwards from here. So obviously none of this is financial advice. Should you be buying altcoins? Honestly, no. But if there are coins right now at a discount that you believe are at a discount, and you have high conviction in them, why is FET up 38%? Huh. The Trump
Yeah, I
coin
think that
actually is funny too, because I guess there's a DAO for Trump coin holders, and they literally have a proposal about what they should do with Nicolas Maduro in custody, based on Trump coin holders. I talked about this on Monday on my research stream. Please don't do that.
oh
He's not going to listen
man.
to you. There is no way that DAO is going to decide what happens to Nicolas Maduro in custody. I think that's
That'd be
hilarious.
insane.
I know, it's just like, oh, by the popular vote of Trump coin holders, we're going to, have Nicolas Maduro expedited to somewhere. Regardless.
And put money into Melania coin, and then we'll find out what happens to Maduro's wife.
Speaking about that, I saw this on. I saw a commercial for this, and it was probably what was it during? Anyway, it is a biopic on the First Lady. It's coming out on January 30th, and I just sat there. It's the same font as the Melania coin launch and everything, and I was like, that is crazy that they're going to be releasing that on January 30th. So, just like she $5 wrench attacked Trump, this time last year, man, I'm kind of scared to
Oh
see
man, dude.
what's going to happen with the First Lady. I'll be honest. But this is, this is good vibes, right? If anything, if you didn't know all of the context about what we're going to talk about, you'd say, oh, this is really good vibes. I mean, Celestia up 25%. Cardano is up 21%. Wow.
Love to
Nexo
see
is up
it.
11%. I mean, this is all just wild stuff um, over the week. But it just shows that people are starting to bid again. Are these coins going to sustain this? No, I don't think so. They already have not, based on the day. We're not seeing more green pushing these things forward. In fact, Hype just had a huge unlock yesterday. Um, Probably a bullish unlock, to be honest. But seeing coins like Atom staying, oh, that's interesting, staying green. Like I said, we'll see. You had some, I cut you off. I apologize. Go into give me some more thoughts there.
Oh, I don't even remember at this point, but
Okay.
what was I going to say? Yeah, go ahead.
No, you keep going.
Totally forgot at this point. Okay, I totally forgot at this point, but it's cool to see like some of these older coins like SHIB and all these other coins doing well. It feels good, but I agree with what you're saying that should you be buying? Is this a good time to be buying altcoins? Not financial advice, but like I just feel like this is just a high, and then it's going to go back down. I fully believe that we're in bear market. Does that mean you shouldn't be buying? I mean, li- dollar cost averaging is a very intelligent strategy to accumulate uh, crypto or stocks or whatever. So don't like if you just put a little bit of money into it, progressively. But I wouldn't put my whole bag in right now, expecting that we're gonna moon and go back into a bull market type trading environment. So
Yeah, to be transparent, I'm for the most part 75 to 80% in stables, and I will stay there. I'll
that's
probably
the
take
smart way to be.
I'll probably take a couple things here to maybe just kind of test the waters and see how things are going. But overall, um, yeah, when we're in 52 range, with everything that we're about to talk about, it makes me a little itchy based on how things have been going. So let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. And I'm just going to run through about 10 of these, Lito, and then we'll kind of paint the picture and set the table. So let's start with Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley, first large bank to file for an ETF. First, they started with Bitcoin and Solana. A lot of people are like, oh, they didn't do Ethereum. They're giving the middle finger. No, they filed a an ETH one this morning. So, what does this mainly say? This mainly tells me two things. One, they're offering these things to their customers. This is something that they're going to be, pushing quite a bit. They're also going to allow, because they own E-Trade. E-Trade is going to let customers directly trade and hold Bitcoin as an asset. I look at that, I'm just like, wow, what on earth is going on here? Monday, we heard that Bank of America recommending 4% of their portfolio through their private investment advisory service in Bitcoin and crypto and other digital assets. What they didn't tell you here with this headline is that it's in ETFs. So again, if you are a curious crypto investor and you want to hold these, I still don't get the point of doing it through your stock portfolio. Unless there's a reason that you have to do it that way. I would literally, even, and again, not financial advice, set up a checkbook IRA, a self-directed IRA, for some of those types of funds, and just go and buy Bitcoin. Off an exchange, hold it in a hardware wallet so you self-custody this. And I think that's probably the better way to go. Mainly because, again, when you are buying through ETFs, you're making somebody else money, whether it's through MicroStrategy, through MetaPlanet, through IBIT, through BlackRock, through all of these groups. You're better off just doing it yourself, to be quite honest. Now, there's some people who just can't deal with the responsibility of self-custody. I get that. It'll take some time to get into. So go ahead and get the exposure, and then as you start to understand how the system works, go and actually buy the asset itself. So this is the part that's the most interesting, is that they're actually going to allow E-Trade users to also trade crypto. To me, this is probably the biggest part of it. It's not that just, they're a bank doing it, but they're actually going to allow their users to just literally directly trade and hold the assets. So this is, CNBC painted it as an endorsement. I wouldn't say it's an endorsement, first of all. I would say that they're just allowing the access. This means that everyday people, even though they know what crypto is, they're going to learn more about crypto as a financial instrument moving forward. Before, it was just vaporware funny money, right? So, I mean, Lito, I'm not a Morgan Stanley customer. I'm sure you're not either.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw this in your bank, if you got a prospectus from the person you maybe, talk to, maybe there's going to be HR companies who are going to be with brokers for 401ks that this is going to affect, and new or at least new movement through other policy changes. For example, at the end of last year, FDIC put out, this was before Christmas, they actually put out guidance to member banks of FDIC about how to go about digital assets and crypto. So like I mentioned at the top of the show, we're talking about integration of this now into the system. So Morgan Stanley is going to be the first, at least in the US. So it's going to be an interesting ride moving forward. So looking at, what you being there in New York, which is the financial center of practically the world at this point, how do you think this affects the overall ethos, or at least just the opinions of people there in New York? But they're fairly financial.
Oh, dude, I have family who work for JP Morgan, and she's telling me that it's JP Morgan. They are very interested in the crypto market, which is kind of confusing because sometimes you'll hear JP Morgan decides is being bearish or like has bearish sentiment, and then they'll switch to bullish. Don't pay attention to that. They're all going hardcore into cryptocurrency. Uh, I I think that this is, as you said, wouldn't say it's an endorsement for Morgan Stanley, but it's allowing people to. They see that people have an interest in holding Bitcoin, holding other sorts of assets, and allowing them to do that, it just people look at Bitcoin now as a stable store of value, a store of wealth, and I, I think that this is going to help in terms of public opinion on cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, and in as a way to invest your money. Yeah, I think it's a bullish sign.
Speaking of that guy, and
Yeah.
yeah, he said this on Fox Business earlier this week. First of all, now I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I normally have very not nice things to say about this man because of how
Mm.
two-faced he is. Because he's been building institutional crypto for the last 3 years at J.P. Morgan through their Onyx division. Now it's called Connexus. They released their stablecoin for institutions. It's called JPMD on the Base blockchain. I think in October of last year. And now they're just like, crypto's better than the current financial system. All right, bro.
They're trying to pump the prices, man. Their word has a lot of say in terms of how people perceive the cryptocurrency market. So all these times you see that him talking down about crypto, I feel like that's a way to influence the market to get a better entry on assets that they're trying to accumulate. So don't pay attention to the bearishness whenever he says that. Like you said, he's kind of two-faced in that regard. Just DCA into Bitcoin.
Well, no, he literally said Bitcoin is trash. So I mean, it's just just like how Trump said it in 2018, 2019. But he's done this in the last 6 months. He said crypto is trash. So it's funny. It's just funny, and I know bureaucracy is a real problem in the United States. For anyone who's outside the U.S. and is watching this, bureaucracy, real problem in the United States because lobbies control everything, right? And this man is deep in the pockets of the banking lobby. So for him to come over and say all that mess is just ironic. Regardless, MoonPay, great tweet they have here. Friendly reminder, you're living through the most transformative shift in technology and finance of your lifetime. Honestly, I feel very blessed to be in this position to have you on this show talking about this because we are in a stage where everything is going to change this year, guys. We are almost to the point where you can actually have dividends claimable on chain because stocks are now tokenized across multiple ecosystems. We're in a stage where you can actually bet on events on chain, and it's put in with everyday people, right? Kalshi is on Solana, and because of that, they've built it in so that Kalshi events are Solana tokens. They're first-class citizens, so you can do all kinds of things with Kalshi events that are tokenized, and we have tokenized stocks. Thanks to a couple different groups. Kraken now owns Backed Finance, which is mainly on Solana, now on Kraken, which will come down to their layer 2 Kraken Inc. soon. We're seeing the one thing that we're looking for is if I buy shares on chain, I want to be able to redeem them in kind. We don't have that on either end yet, right? We don't have the ability for if you buy in the spot ETF that you can go and cash out your shares for actual Bitcoin. That's coming. And so is the reverse. I do think within at least, it should be this year, if not definitely first half of next year, where we'll have everything on chain. President Trump is very much on record saying that he wants to move everything to the crypto and DeFi rails. So for those of you curious about decentralized finance, you're going to get a really good education on it this year. And we're pushing out a lot of content to try and help you all understand the right ways to consider it moving forward. So what I do want to get to next is kind of the other issue here. And let me see if I can. Did I really not push it up here? Well, what's interesting, and
the MSCI's decision not to exclude Master and other
that is
forms.
correct. Yeah, I had it here. But that was the other thing. January 16th was the date that MSCI, which apparently used to be a Morgan Stanley subsidiary, was going to remove everything off of. I mean, they're going to remove MicroStrategy and a couple others that they felt were just funds off of, their very influential indexes that people can um, invest in on Wall Street. It was going to possibly crash the price of Bitcoin due to MSCI lose. I mean, not MSCI, due to MSTR losing a ton of value by being delisted. Well, they came up yesterday and said that they are just not going to do that anymore. Let me grab the actual tweet because I have it here. And the crazy part about that is this specific tweet, and it's kind of the, and this again, this is unsubstantiated. This is not founded in facts, right?
It's a legend.
Because it just so happened that Black Friday, which was October 9th, but on October 10th, MSCI was going to remove DATCOs, or digital asset treasury companies, something we talk about quite a bit on this show, from the global indexes. That it was going to affect MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet, quite a few others that I can't think of right now. I don't know if this was going to be the case, where pension funds and ETFs would be forced to sell. That's a little, but it caused the market to drop pretty hard, right? Because not only did we have that huge liquidation event that started on Binance and went to other market makers, it now had this looming over it. Like, was the crypto dream going to die from a Wall Street perspective because one entity decided they weren't going to list them based on specific standards? Well, they literally just came out yesterday and then just said, no, we're not going to remove them, and we're going to file for 3 ETFs. And I'm just like, And I even tweeted about it. I was just like, I knew this was going to happen. I'm not saying it's
market manipulation, but it'd be perfect if it was.
We can't say that, but it very much is implied at this point. I'm not saying it directly. Now, Bull Theory IO is, and good for them. We're featuring them on the show, but
they flipped from extremely bearish to extremely bullish. It seems like, pretty much.
Yeah. And now suddenly everyone is fine and bullish and all of this crap, and there's a lot of poor trenchers out there that lost a ton of everything, right? Now they're trying to figure out, did we just get bamboozled at our own game thanks to institutions? The institutions that we were hoping would integrate DeFi, but now they're here and playing a different game? I don't know, brother. But let's continue. So we mentioned that that Bank of America is now on board. Interestingly, also, and the events of this, and maybe they're just expanding to multiple chains, but Wyoming has a stablecoin. They created it initially through Avalanche, moved it to Tezos, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're going to be launching it, I'm assuming, as well on Solana. I don't know what to make of this, but yeah, I still
what
don't know
happened
what to make.
to AVAX? Do you know why they chose to go away from it?
I don't. I remember there was a huge event last year. There were quite a few people from AVAX there, including the Excova team, Chris Facio and Candace Jarrett, and just a couple other people. And they lined this all up. I mean, there's a lot of really good bullish things happening on AVAX, specifically about currencies, right? So we have this FRNT token. RWAs are coming to Solana through Denari. A couple other big projects are out there. And then Frontier Coin I don't know. Like I said, I need to look further into it. But this is framed like they're moving from where they were to Solana. I think they're just expanding, because this reminds me a lot of how PayPal USD started. So PayPal USD was it's almost 2 years old now. It came out, they created it, they put it on Ethereum. It just was not received well. Was it ever going to be received well on Ethereum? I don't know, but it lagged really hard. I think they had maybe like 40 million or something like that in market cap for the first 6 months or so. Whatever, it was a very low number. Then they decided to, expand and relaunch on Solana. Now they're like at $2 and $3 billion. So, it's a huge turnaround. And Solana is looking to be that chain. We always call it the people's blockchain, right? This is more people facing. So this will be something that's going to be very interesting. Solana Pay is available through Shopify and a lot of Web 2. A lot of the X402 stuff for AI agent payments are moving, well, more of the volume is moving to Solana because it's cheaper. Does this affect Wyoming coming over there? No, but it just shows you that there's a lot of, at least for me, the first half of 2026, if we're going to be setting the table correctly, Solana and Ethereum are going to be going neck and neck about who's going to capture more institutional clients. You could have said that this started originally with Kalshi and Polymarket, because Polymarket became the darling around the election time. Kalshi didn't have a Web3 home. They didn't really have a Web3 presence. And then then they suddenly hired a bunch of people that were Web3. And then they went to Solana. And they created all of this amazing, tech that people can build on top of. And then we see Solana and Base pretty much coming arm in arm on December 18th. Now just like, hey, we got a great bridge together. Devs can work back and forth. We're going to do this together. And it's a crazy, crazy last 60 days, to be quite honest. But this shows that there's going to be more interest in Solana. This is also framed a specific way, Lito. Solana is now the number one chain based on the market cap of tokenized stocks. You have to look at it from that vantage point. If we're talking about tokenized stocks, then yes, Solana and then BNB chain are going to be the closest to Ethereum. And because you're looking at this number, you're like 800 million, that can't be right. And it's not right? If we go to DeFi Llama from a DeFi perspective, Solana has surpassed all of the others to get into this space. Now, this number is still not right, but they are very much in a much closer environment to ETH than they were even 6 months ago. So kudos to a lot of the DeFi teams building on Solana, upgrading Solana now to FireDancer, and just seeing a lot of really cool improvements with Alpenglow coming soon for consensus to try and make Solana the fastest, most serviceable, most consumer-friendly chain that is out there. They've got a really good shot to do this. And I think they're going to continue to do it. Now they have Kalshi on board, tokenized stocks. They've got Wyoming now with this coin.
They're positioned very well.
They are. For exactly what, I'm not completely sure yet. Because but here's the part that muddies the water, right? So Stripe is now going to settle. Well, they were going to anyway, because Stripe is building a layer 1 blockchain on Ethereum called Tempo.
I love a new L1. Let's have more.
Right? And then Circle has their L1 coming out soon called ARC as well. And I know a lot of people are saying we don't need another L1. We don't. But, I mean, it's good to have them because this is all still experimental, right? We're still very early. I know we say that every year, and we've been doing this for 5 years now. We're very early. But these are the steps that are being taken from an integration standpoint. Stripe, of course, being a gigantic multi-billion-dollar corporation who's well known from an e-commerce standpoint for allowing anyone with a website to create a payment portal with 7 lines of code. They're going to be pulling that same simplicity and now integrating into Ethereum. Now, if we talk about exactly what Swift has been doing, I don't know if you were on the show last time when we talked about this, Lito, but Swift has formed a partnership with Consensus, which is the company behind not only the Linea blockchain, which is a layer 2, but also with MetaMask. And they have found a way to work with Swift and their nearly 12,000 member banks to create an on-chain path to settle funds on Linea, which is a zero knowledge proof chain, by the way, using Chainlink as well for Oracle pricing. So it's going to be all smart contracts, all instant finality. Let's see, the Swift payment scheme with more than 40 banks. So you can get not only the upfront transparency because it's blockchain, full value delivery because it's blockchain, and a faster and more consistent experience along with this stuff because it's on blockchain. So the integration of this technology moving forward, guys, if you are a DeFi hater, you cannot be anymore. You have to accept that this is the way the world is moving. People will still talk about CBDCs. No reason to anymore, because there's this. A central bank digital currency is not necessary when you have the infrastructure that powers all of the payments between central banks on the blockchain. That's the part that's the most interesting with this. So now, hopefully soon, this year, I'm going to be in a position where I can send money from my online bank account to my credit union where I have to pay my car payment, and it doesn't take 3 business days to get there. It could possibly be there. I don't care if it gets there the next business day. We're in a situation where it could happen within seconds.
Awesome. Dude, isn't blockchain great?
Isn't blockchain just
Speeding up
great?
transaction by
It's
like
just great.
99%.
Yeah. And the reason why we're setting the table this way, guys, is yes, there's a lot of bullishness and there's a lot of things you need to understand. For example, the ETH staking queue. There were a ton of people 2 months ago on the way out of unstaking their Ethereum from validators. Well, all of a sudden now we are at 4.1 billion being ready to be staked. That's a very large, long signal.
Yeah.
I can tell you as an ETH validator staker, it is not easy to unstake your ETH. So if people are now rushing in to stake their ETH, that is a very good sign for the health.
Less sellers.
Exactly. Very good for the health of ETH. Now, for people who don't understand what this even means, all this does is help increase security and settlement for Ethereum. They're moving forward with some other initiatives, but this means that there's going to be more decentralization, just a lot of people. Obviously, you're making yields because you're helping fund validators that can help with consensus. Now they're doing even more things with they just had Fusaka. Now they're having Glamsterdam coming up, and then Hegeta after that, for really just bolstering this and making it faster, making it cheaper. It's 32 ETH for a validator, so hopefully that comes down, and that's why Lido and all these other companies exist with liquid stake tokens, because you can just join somebody else who already has some and earn some gains on the backside. It's a good sign. Now, are these gains great? No. If you've ever staked at a validator on ETH, it's like 2 to 3%, but it's something. And people don't necessarily do it for the yields. You just do it for, I don't know. You do it for the tech. I don't know, but totally for the tech, right? So we're seeing a lot of movement to bring inflows back. All of this stuff on Solana, bringing inflows back. The other part that I haven't put in here is, where is it?
I'm just thinking there has to be better ways to get returns on your money than 2%.
Oh no, there's plenty. Well, we talk about that all the time in our content, but we're seeing stable coins start to rise, right? The idea is that we want to be in a situation where the stable coin, it's above 300 billion now. It was kind of teetering there. But the idea is that they want to see this stable coin market cap in DeFi over $1 trillion. If that happens this year, guys, you'll know one reason why. It's because they brought a whole lot of government stuff on chain. I mean, they've already kind of started. They've been talking about being the most transparent government ever, because now all of the economic and GDP info is through Chainlink and Pith, and it comes out whenever it comes out on chain through 10 blockchains that it's brought to. Now, talking to Keiko about this, they have access to everything to bring on chain, by the way. So they're going to be bringing everything on chain through Chainlink and Pith. That's my prediction. That does not happen today, I don't know about a roadmap about how soon that's going to happen, but it's going to happen at some point. Um, Let me talk a little bit more about really good bullish things. Uh, Coin. So this is from Grayscale earlier this week. They do have a staking ETF that they've had for a minute for Ether, and they actually just paid their first staking distribution back to stakers. No one buys just one share of this stuff, right? So they're actually getting a decent kickback for staking in Ethereum through whatever this trust goes through. This is the first of its kind so far. We're going to see more of these. There's a good chance, Lito, we're going to see 401ks, retirement funds, annuities, anything you can think of. Now that this has happened, we're going to see more of this. More people are going to come to the window asking about how this can be done. And as you saw, 4 billion in ETH coming into the door to be long staked. There are signals that are being shown here that there's confidence in the system from institutions, from large whales. Pretty bullish overall. What do you think?
Pretty bullish. I'm looking forward to seeing where we are at the end of the year, dude. 300 billion right now we're at. 1 trillion supply for stable coins by the end of the year would be insane. That'd be. There's
That's
just a lot of
3xing where we're
potential.
at, right?
Yeah, there's just a lot of signs that like if these things like go the way they're where it's looking like it's going, that even though the past like year or two have not looked great in terms of number go up, this shows a sign that the industry as a whole is just going to continue to grow, and I'm excited to see where we go as an industry, uh, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I wanted to quote
See.
Etherealize's tweet here specifically, mainly because we've had the Genius Act that passed in August. Um, Everything we just talked about, this is all happening. Corporate treasury assets, institutional tokenization, staking ETFs are paying back. We just had Fusaka, which was a huge upgrade overall for helping solve the blockchain trilemma for scalability, for speed and security. And now we have, a lot of input coming in on what people are going to see. Honestly, I think it's still going to be a very rough end of the year. We're going to see, well, and I haven't even talked about this, the Fed injected tens of billions of dollars into the system through overnight repo purchases over the last 14 days. They're injecting emergency liquidity into the system. Maybe it's because maybe a too big to fail bank is not exploited, but is in a bad situation. We're seeing precious metals like silver is on fire right now. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things going on that are adjacent to crypto, for speculation at least, that could bring a lot of interesting correlations to what we're talking about. Let's see. So 2026 outlook. This is interesting. Tokenization becomes a fundamental business upgrade. That's something that they've wanted for a while. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, wants to tokenize everything, to democratize the access to things. We'll see how that works out, mainly because it's going to put a lot of private investors and advisors into a very interesting position. Ethereum L2s become the gold standard to build your own blockchain. 5x per increase in ETH price. Now, that's something that at least Tom Lee from Bitmine Immersion, they own more than almost 3.5% now of the global supply of ETH, which is something they've been wanting to do for months now. They got a lot closer thanks to all of this price depreciation of ETH and Bitcoin over the last 60 days. What else is out here? It'll be a very interesting ETH Denver. So if anyone's going to ETH Denver at the end of February, let me know. Would love to, hang out and talk a little bit about that. Back to some more bullish things with regards to both ETH and Solana, because that's the whole point of the show. Parcel is now partnering with Polymarket for prediction markets. Again, interesting move here because Parcel is a Solana property. Polymarket, Solana is Kalshi country. So the fact that Polymarket was able to pull this off is a bit of a coup. So what's interesting here is that they're going to power Polymarket prediction markets. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about, Lito, is the idea that opinion polling is now in this new
Dude,
vessel.
it's crazy, man. Like we're just really increasing the amount of gambling that's going to be going on with the blockchain. I thought that, pump fund was crazy, but now we have prediction markets out here,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that they're so easy. I feel like some of these are going to be so easy to sway the outcomes of whatever you're betting on. It's going to be prime for fraud. But hey, it just comes to the territory of bettering the technology and cryptocurrencies. So I don't know. I don't know whether to feel long term bullish or bearish in terms of my pockets. I'm gonna try to stay away from those markets. That's all I'm saying. Don't need to be
Well,
gambling.
so the reason why this is interesting to me is mainly for the implication that prediction market outcomes are factual, right? That's been my biggest kind of issue with tokenizing prediction markets, because it would be, well, I guess it's no different than sports betting because there's actual outcomes you're betting on. But the data here is over home values across the country. For now, I don't think they're doing anything other than the US. They might be doing other countries, but the ability to now create heat maps, data points that Polymarket and all of their partners now have access to, which is, New York Stock Market, a variety of other groups, Google, now has the ability to create AI models based on where uh, people are moving to. This kind of deepens that product pool, right? Uh, Predicting where the next big spot is going to be, and
Mhm.
then selling that data to all kinds of businesses who want to buy it because now they want to advertise. They're like, oh, this was on Polymarket. This has to be factual data, which was pulled from Parcel, which goes through and pops through. I don't know if they go through the LMS system, MLS system, sorry, and try and grab everyday appraisal values. But yeah, manipulation is definitely one thing I'm worried about. But also, what what is the real purpose of betting on a market for housing data? Like, what is the actual outcomes that we're looking for? Now, I'll click on this because I'm curious. What are the first six markets? Okay, so what will the medium home value be in the San Francisco metro area, in the Bay Area? Shout out to the
Dude,
area.
that is so degen. I mean, of course, you can have like a great AI that'll like help you like steer you along the right answer, but um, I mean, I guess this could be a good edge for people who are in the real estate market who have like better access to the information to get their answers about this stuff. Um, I don't know. Your question was correct. I don't see like not the point, but I'm wondering where this is going to take us.
It's the second and third order consequences, right? Now that people
Yeah.
have this data, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to make it so that you can use it for good? For example, like in the LA Metro or the San Francisco Metro, housing prices are so high, you can use this as data to give to a group to say you need rent control in these areas. Um,
Hmm.
is it something that you can give to, you know, realtors of America, whatever, to give them more insight as to where they should be pushing their resources to help people find new homes? Um, I don't see Detroit on here. Detroit is a huge area that's going through a huge transformation with regards to revamping a lot of their city, trying to bring more people in. A lot of cities that are on the quote unquote glow up, trying to, you know, not through gentrification, but just recharging and reevaluating how their real estate is in their areas. Is something like this something that's going to be useful for them, specifically to help them figure out where things are going to go? So Um, yeah, there's a lot of things on the table. So let me talk about the last thing on the table before we go into the last thing. Um, and that is the rumor that President Trump is going to offer 0% crypto and business tax to U.S. crypto based businesses. Now, seems like an interesting idea. Algorand is moving back to Delaware. From Singapore to Delaware. That's a very interesting distinction. I'm surprised they didn't go to Wyoming, to be quite honest, but it is what it is. Or Texas, because Coinbase moved to Texas from Delaware.
Good point.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it could help like bring more jobs into
that's
the
exactly
United
what they're going to
States.
do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I know that there's going to be people who aren't so crypto or like in like who aren't really for the evolving of the industry who are going to be like people should be paying their fair share of taxes. So I can see like the negatives and
Oh, yeah.
the pros of it, but I don't know. I hope it's more positive than negative.
Well, we've already seen multiple companies figure out ways, like Tron, for example, with Justin Sun. They reverse merged, I think it's been almost 18 months now. They reverse merged into a small publicly traded company called SBE Entertainment, or something, I think is what they're called. They made they make swag from movies and TV shows, and now they've suddenly become Tron Inc. And their little office in an office park in Orlando, Florida, is now the U.S. headquarters for Tether, not Tether, but for Tron. Um, yeah. So I mean, we're going to see more of these reverse mergers happening. I've already heard of a couple other that aren't finalized yet, but uh, there will definitely be a tax break for U.S. crypto-based companies because he's been very. President Trump is very open with the fact he wants U.S. to be the leader in crypto, the world leader in crypto. You can't do that if everybody is based offshore because of terrible Gary Gensler policies, right? And people literally going after, you know, that type of thing. So,
All my homies hate Gary
let's,
Gensler.
well, I mean, he's not in office anymore, but things like that.
They
Uh,
still hate him.
oh yeah, they still. Well, it's he's also a two-faced guy, right? Because he taught a blockchain course at Harvard, or was it at Princeton? One of the two. One of the two.
A big university.
Yeah, a
I
big
forget which
university.
one.
He taught a course on blockchain. Of course, he knows everything that happens on the blockchain. He's not stupid. Anyway, bureaucracy, right?
Yeah.
Circle, Ripple, Paxos. They've all received, over the last 3 weeks, their U.S. National Trust Bank licenses conditionally approved by the OCC. This means that all of their reserves are now under bank level oversight. PayPal has also filed a license with the OCC. Shout out to Merlin the Trader here. Let me follow you, sir, because I know you're the crypto rover. I cannot follow
Twitter.
more people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I follow too many people. I didn't know there's a limit. There's apparently a limit. But so everyone go follow me so that
Yeah.
actually
I
can
promise,
work out.
Elon, Chris is not a bot.
I'm not a
One
bot,
bot people.
sir. I am a
Mhm.
really terrible reply guy. Um, I give authentic takes. I'm not out there doing 200 to 300 sloppy replies a day. So, it is what it is. But um, we're gonna see more of this. We're gonna see, U.S. companies now coming in, getting the crypto tax breaks, having everything under the Genius Act, so these stablecoins will be legitimate, and we're gonna see more of this moving forward. Um, so let's talk about what could be bad. Well, let's start with this. So Ledger, and again, I don't know who's affected by this. No one in our community is, that I know of.
Yeah,
Ledger had
I'm not.
not a lot of PII, but name and contact information for people who bought a Ledger through a payments company called Crypto E. Now, I'm making awareness for this because there are services like Cloaked, Delete Me, Optory that you can pay for to remove this information. And I would recommend that if you are in this situation, and I'm going to be looking into this myself, that you should. Um, when you're in crypto, you just have a target on your back, right? We call it the $5 wrench attack for a reason. Like anyone with a $5 wrench can come up and just hit you in the knees and take your stuff, or at least try to. It can be a kind of a scary thing. So, how did people get hit by this? Because if you go to Best Buy or Amazon and buy a ledger, I mean that information. Just go to Best Buy and buy it in cash if you want to. $79 for a Nano X. Um, you don't have to put in any information. So this was done through like an e-commerce transaction. I don't know if it was EU, if you bought it directly from the website. We've talked about that in our content. If you're going to buy a hardware wallet, buy it directly from the website, from the manufacturer. They also have big box, manufacturer accounts. So I would say, using your Amazon or going to Best Buy or where even Walmart has them. You should be okay through there. But if you went through directly to them, and I don't go to them because I want my purchase within a week. That's not going to happen if you go through the because I think Ledger is based in France, for example. Anyway,
Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say you just got to be careful out there. This is something that we're just talking about because you probably should do it.
This isn't like their first leak either, for Ledger, right?
No.
Isn't it like the second or third?
Well, this is a third-party leak. It was through a payment processor. They've had two specific leaks before, yes. But the problem with Ledger is that nobody else has access to wallets. Ledger's the only thing. If you want to be farming with a hardware wallet on Solana, on EVM, on Bitcoin, any of those ecosystems, even Cosmos, the only one supported is Ledger. What does that mean? That means if you're gonna be if you're just doing cold storage, use whatever wallet you want. That's fine. But if you're gonna be farming, I would just say seed specific wallets with certain amounts of money, and you're gonna have to use Ledger because nothing else is gonna be supported.
Yeah, that's tough.
It is tough.
Honestly, I'm thinking, dude, if you had a Coinbase account at some point, like you can already expect that your personal information is gone. I can't tell you the amount of texts a day I used to get. I still get saying, "Hey, your Coinbase account has been trying to log in from a different address or something like that," or
Yep.
phishing things. So if you're in the crypto industry right now, I bet that you're getting a bunch of messages trying to phish you.
Every day.
Hmm.
Every day. The other thing that we need to look forward to, and I say that with a very loose tone, Lito, is Friday. Is most likely the day that they're going to rule on tariffs. Now, even though President Trump has stacked the court with people who are,
aligned with his views.
Yeah, aligned with his views. That's a good way. I was going to say sympathetic to his cause. Aligned with his views. There is no guarantee that they're going to have a majority, a 5-4 majority, to actually not claim that these are illegal. And the reason for that is there is precedence to show that what he's done from a legal standpoint is probably, or rather, they're not going to uphold the appeal because it's already been deemed illegal in a lower court. So that's what it's about. In the event that it gets struck down, it's going to be a very interesting February. This is kind of crazy. Losing our ability to tariff other countries who treat us unfairly.
I'm curious to hear your opinion on how you think that this is going to affect the market.
It's not that it would affect the market. It would affect more of the leverage. I think that would be the word I would use. It could open up a lot of interesting things, to be honest. But for me, with tariffs being what they are, they're really more tied to, at this point, how people would show. Well, it's really just for U.S. leverage, I think. Um, there are a lot of people on their heels, just kind of hoping that. I mean, and I don't know if this is still in. There's a lot of companies. There are a lot of countries that won't accept U.S. mail right now because of tariffs. So
Hmm.
there's, I mean, there's a lot of things that are at play here, right? Does it increase commerce overall? I mean, now we have the U.S. controlling Venezuelan oil in a blockade. I mean, there's a lot of interesting plates spinning here. To me, it's hard to say specifically if tariffs can change a lot of that. Um, what it could, because there's already so many. There's already so many agreements in place, which they probably would allow to stand, with a lot of exceptions, so that for the average American, imported goods are still affordable. I, you know, the strike down of the tariffs would, if anything, would just cause more geopolitical and trade escalation, trade war escalation issues, which could effectively cause people to go back on decisions that they were going to do. We could see a withdrawal of investments into U.S. infrastructure and economy. Pardon me. For example, from one second. We could see some removal of companies to not invest in the U.S. that are U.S. based, right? We could see Apple decide to not to continue just to maximize profit, to keep all of their stuff, outsourced, offshored. We could see companies
Yeah.
or countries who wanted to invest millions into the U.S., like Qatar, like there's a couple others that are bringing hundreds of billions into, like the Saudi Arabia
Saudi.
also.
Yeah.
They may go back on that. So that, I mean, it could be fairly disastrous from that standpoint. Now, is there a chance that, the potential of what's been shown here continues to keep these countries locked in and interested in the U.S.? I mean, if the U.S. buys Greenland in the next 2 weeks,
Oh my God, dude. Such a scary thing.
right? There's a lot of things that are happening right now that, for me to say that tariffs are going to be, struck down, and what's the effect on that, we don't exactly know, because the sentiment on what they could possibly do from an international standpoint could be very interesting. It could make the U.S. look supremely weak, and that just reduces leverage, and that's the one thing that Trump hates, is not having leverage. So yeah, I think there's a lot riding on this decision. He installed Kavanaugh, Barrett, Gorsuch, and that would be it for this specific purpose. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. It's a very interesting idea. It'd be a very
Wasn't it
interesting
like
idea.
a hundred or so more billion dollars that the government
600.
has been able, 600 billion in profit or revenue
Well, in
from
in
tariffs?
agreements, right? I don't want to fudge the numbers or anything, but if you think about it, there's two ways to think about it. In general, and I heard this number like 3 weeks ago, the U.S. brings in 5 trillion from U.S. taxpayers, right? Um, the national debt is now above 40 trillion, thanks to a variety of things.
Mm,
It's really the agreed upon thing, and we're not going to talk politics too much, right? Because
yeah.
frankly, we're not in that position to do that. But overall, does this affect the investments of other countries looking to contribute to U.S. goods? Yeah, I think it does. It does. They've had some very strong messaging, like Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, uh, has put out and even the White House put out a tweet that says "our hemisphere." They went from "Make America Great Again" to "Our Hemisphere." So,
Yeah.
does tariffs change that view? I don't know, but it's not good overall. Does it really hurt crypto? I don't know if it necessarily hits crypto as much, because there are other indices that work with crypto from a risk speculation, right? If equities get hit, if bonds get hit due to this, yes, that'll affect crypto
I
because
mean,
people
yeah,
are
it'll
going to
be
be de-risking.
like a tertiary consequence of the
Yeah,
things
the
going
second and
on.
third order consequences are going to be massive if the Friday strike through goes through. But we'll see. We'll see.
Hmm. Interesting
Last thing I
times,
wanted to
friend.
talk about right now, and then we're a bit over time. Thank you so much, Lito, for being here. Is people are hiring again. Off-chain labs, Base, Solana, the Ethereum Foundation. After all those layoffs after DEF in Argentina, they're hiring again because we got new budgets and all that good stuff. So, if you're looking for a job, if you want to be in this industry because you hate your 9 to 5, you love DeFi and you love it so much you want to work in DeFi, if you got some skills, if you got some things to mark yourself with, now's the time to go out and look for something. So, I foresee that Lito will be hired soon.
Oh, dude, I'm absolutely looking to get into a position in DeFi,
There we go.
100%.
So there's a lot of groups hiring right now. A lot of VCs are looking, and it's the beginning of the year, right? VCs are looking to possibly reload even some of their vintage assets from maybe 2 years ago. Um, if you saw on crypto Twitter the last couple of weeks, there's been quite a few projects sunsetting because
Yeah.
they've run out of runway. So uh, we're going to see exactly how this all plays out. But overall, to kind of recap what we've done, we've talked about essentially a lot of institutional and potentially retail interest back into Bitcoin, into Solana, and to Ethereum. Solana and Ethereum are going to spend the next couple of months pretty much just trying to outshine each other with all of the partnerships and building that can happen. Um, they're working together in this case. They have to. Solana and Base, holding hands, skipping up and down the Coinbase product show on December 17th, was something that they needed to do because it wasn't pretty the amount of insults being thrown back and forth
Mm.
between Solana and Base uh, with two completely different economic mechanisms. But the one thing that we can say, based on all of the things we talked about today, there is a lot of institutional and international interest into making Ethereum the main DeFi and payment settlement layer out there by a large margin, right? I mean, if we look at the chart again on DeFi Llama, what were we looking at? Ethereum, from a TVL standpoint, at least on DeFi Llama, owns more than half of the TVL that's out there. That's not going to change, guys. Solana eating up pieces of that pie will happen, but it's never going to be, they're going to be both holding, let's say, 35%. Unless something systemically fails that we don't realize, they are working together to represent roughly about, let's call it 75% of the DeFi market at this point. So, what does that mean for you as an investor? If you're interested in getting into positions, into strategies that make sense, uh, it's going to be in one of these two ecosystems. And that's something that we talk about a lot in our group here at Total Value Locked. Um, I need something else. Well, school.com/beacon. I have a banner, but it's on a
Yeah.
different scene specifically. But we have a lot of free
Do
content
you
here.
post any of these? Do you post any of these content on YouTube?
Yeah, it's live streamed. It's live streamed to YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Great. As the crypto market continues to grow, eco, educational ecosystems like Beacon, I think, are gonna prove like people are gonna need that.
Oh yeah.
So I always talk great. I always talk good about Beacon every time I come on here, but you're front running the education market, my man.
I'm hoping so, brother. If you work at Goldman Sachs, if you if you work at JP Morgan, if you work at Morgan Stanley and you want to be able to talk to your clients about how crypto investing actually works, feel free to reach out. Happy to bill you some
Be a
time for that.
consultant. Yeah, Chris would
Who
be a
was I
great consultant.
who was I talking to? I was talking to I was talking to somebody in New York. She works she used to work at the White she used to work in the White House press corps. And a lot of people were messaging her asking about what's going on with DeFi and crypto because they don't understand what the president is talking about. This is from reporters in the room. I can tell you, their education has not gotten any better. So journalists, feel free to reach out. Happy to give you all the information in this noggin and Lito's noggin even, and we'll help you out. So with that said, that's what we have for the show today. Lito, thank you again so much for being here. It's always good to see you, brother. Hire this man. This man is the next superstar, the content creator in our
Me
space. Where
too.
can they find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm mostly active at Lito Hilario.
Mm-hmm.
Basically my name with no spaces. So yeah.
There we go. I need to work on getting a better lower third so we can actually have that. The show is definitely in it. We're kind of we're changing our visual identity a bit, so it's going to look different over the next couple of weeks. But really happy with the way the production's been looking over the last 3 or 4 episodes. If you catch our weekly community training, it's Fridays at 3 p.m. That's Beat the Banks. We're also changing the visual identity of how that works as well. So we do this show every week, 1 p.m. Eastern. We've done it ever since December of 2021, guys. We're here to educate you on the news, give our takes. To you can hopefully make some educated decisions on what's out there. Of course, no, this is financial advice. Do your own research, and go out there and find the gains that'll help you beat whatever is out there in your bank. And that's our Friday training with Beat the Banks. So we will see you then. Thanks again, Lito, for being here. As we say every week, beacons up, banks down. See you next week, guys. Take care.
Yeah.